in all, as you can see, the bike is packed and ready to go, and I'm just going to enjoy my cappuccino before I hit the road. 60km day today, across the border into Slovenia, and staying at the Big Berry campsite. Small uphill section and then mainly flat afterwards, or so I think. Anyway, I'll show you some videos from the road and I'll catch you later. Cheers for now. So, as I left, I followed the GPS, and this should have been a nice 60km day, and the road should have been nice and easy. However, the GPS decided to take me on its mystery route once more, so I ended up going on a quiet country lane like this, which I thought, yep, this is fine, this is what I come to do bicycle touring about, that's cool. And then it started to become a little bit more overgrown, and at this point I thought, I think the GPS is going to do its normal thing, which is lead me either to a dead end, through a grass field, or up a rough track. So you can take your pick now as to which one that was, but it was the rough track. So sometimes this GPS is good, and it's not the fault of the GPS, it's just the fault of the mapping system, because the road would have been set to sealed, apparently. And to start off with, it is sealed, but eventually it becomes unsealed. So the GPS is something to be used as a guide, but not something to be relied on. As I'd only got a short day in mind, I thought, well, it doesn't matter, let's see it through, see where it goes. And where it went was up this very, very rough track, which eventually I couldn't cycle because it was too steep, so then I had to grind to a halt and get off and push. But I suppose it's all part of the adventure, and it's not like, you know, it wasn't that far that I had to push it. So I pushed it for about 250 metres, although that was all the way uphill, unfortunately. And I don't normally agree with pushing bicycles, by the way, I should say. You should always cycle when you can, but it was, at this point, impossible for me to cycle. The road was too rough, and the steepness of the angle was just too much to move the bike. But there we go. I had nothing better to do that day, did I? So once I left this rough track, eventually, I hit a sealed road again. And this was a nice road to follow, actually. So I'm now cycling through Croatia and heading towards the Slovenian border. And this road was a very nice one to follow. It was sealed all the way, very quiet, just the occasional traffic, one way or the other, but nothing like the main roads. And as you can see, there was trees on both sides, and I passed through countryside, and yeah, it was very serene. And I've been led to believe that Slovenia is a very beautiful country, and at this stage, I wondered if Slovenia would look like this. And as I'm doing the commentary a couple of days later, I shan't reveal yet what Slovenia's like. You'll have to watch the next videos. Haha. So it was going to be another border crossing eventually, and but until then there was just a few kilometres to go. I timed my currency quite well as well. So at this point I had 3 kunars left in my pocket. 3 kunars is worth about 50 euro cents, by the way. So and I tend to do that. I tend to plan to the last day, and I work out what I can spend my final currency on, just to get rid of it, because obviously, a kunar is no good anywhere else other than in Croatia. And so there we go. And if you remember yesterday, I said the nature of the houses was changing, the design of the houses, and they looked almost Austrian or Germanic in a way. And it was the same on for this little ride coming up to the border as well. So yeah, it was all very pretty and very nice. And with the memory of that rough track behind me, this was a good day's cycle. In the end, it worked out to be about 72 kilometres, I think, in total. But yeah, that was all good. And obviously, I was heading towards Big Berry campsite, so I had my destination in mind as well. So everything was cool. So what else should I talk about then? Thoughts on Croatia. I liked cycling through Croatia. I was a little bit disappointed with Dubrovnik, as I mentioned in a couple of videos. One of which has not got the greatest feedback from Croatian people, but sorry, if that's the way I feel, it's the way I feel. I can't pretend otherwise. But the rest of the country, from northwards, from Split onwards, I thought the people were great. I thought the views were great, the coast, the countryside. Yeah, so I think Croatia is definitely a country I would like to discover more about. I'd like to do some more bicycle touring. I've stuck to the coast mainly. But it would be nice to look at the inland section a little bit more. And it was actually at this point on the tour I realised that I'd left the coast behind me now, and I probably won't be seeing the sea until I get on the ferry from France to England at some point. So yeah, I'd probably miss my little swims, unless there's a river to swim in. Maybe there's one in the Big Berry campsite, you never know. Again, you'd have to check some other videos out, won't you? So, as you can see, there's some very pretty looking buildings here, and at this point I thought, yeah, we're slowly transitioning into Slovenia. So to me it's always curious where borders are and why there's a border there, and are people completely different one side of the border than the other side? It's always an interesting question to answer. The part of the border that I was heading to is separated by a river. So it's obvious why the border's there. It's like a natural border. And you find that with some countries there's a natural border of mountains or a river. It's the countries which don't have a natural border, it was like put in place after a war or something. They're normally the countries where it's, they're a little bit stranger. But this is more of a natural border that I'm heading towards. So again, with border controls, all fairly straightforward. I cycled up and through one border section, and he kind of waved me through. And then at the Slovenian entrance to the border, he took my passport and had a look in it in more detail after scanning it. I think it was more interesting just where I'd travelled to than anything else. But I don't know, each of their own. Not a very interesting job, I imagine, being in charge of the checkpoint on a border crossing. And I think we're getting to the border crossing section in a little bit, so I'm probably preempting the excitement that you're going to feel when you see the actual video itself. Sorry about that. So yeah, just cycling through, cycling on, here we go. So one day I'll probably run out of things to say on these videos, won't I? But I don't think that day is coming anytime soon. I can always find something to talk about at some point. So here we go. This is me leaving Croatia. And I thought, okay, do I have to show my passport to anyone? And there was no one in the little box. So you obviously don't need to be checked out of Croatia. So, yeah, just carried on through. And then crossed the bridge. Which is obviously over the river that I was on about, and this must be the River Kolpa. And over the other side of the bridge, that's the checkpoint or the border crossing to enter into Slovenia. And as I mentioned, once I got to the checkpoint, I just handed my passport over, and the guy just sat there and looked at it for a while, and then away I went. And that was it. I was into another new country. So the new countries on this trip for me so far have been Albania. What was the other ones? Croatia, Montenegro, and a small part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And now we're in Slovenia, another new country. And I think I'm here for about a total of 10 days. And the Big Berry campsite are hosting me for 3 nights, which is very kind of them. Thank you very much. And this is me now in Slovenia. Now, to you, it might not seem very different than the country that just left behind, but immediately I could sense that there was. It's very different. Everything seems to be beautiful or neat, or it's designed with the aesthetic quality in mind. It's hard to explain, but the houses and the churches are all different. There's lots of flowers in flower pots in the windows, and there's more attention to detail. The grass is mown. And I could tell that I was in a different country. So there was a small transition period, as I said, between the border, but this is now a new country, and a very pretty country it is. And from the very little that I saw on the cycle to the campground, I could tell that it was going to be a beautiful country, and one that I think I'm going to enjoy a lot. So, what else is there to say, really? I headed towards the campground. I came across a cycle path, which was good. Slovenia has tried to make a push for bicycle tour and attracting cyclists. Slovenia is trying to develop tourism, but I think it's going about it in the right way. It doesn't want mass tourism. It wants to specialise in certain areas, because Slovenia is famous for its countryside and the open spaces. It's got a low population. The last thing they need are 10 million tourists a year. They don't need that, and I don't think they want that. I think what they want to do is maintain the quality of life they've got, but invite more people into the country. And I don't know. I think little things like the bicycle paths. I mean, this is only one that I've been on, but if these are throughout the cities and something, it's a major step up from the countries that I've been to. I mean, a bicycle path in Greece is just a joke. And actually Albania had better bicycle paths than Greece. I didn't really see many at all in Croatia. There were a couple, as I mentioned, where it ended abruptly at a supermarket, but it wasn't like a part of the infrastructure. And I got the feeling just from that little section that they built the road and thought, okay, I'm going to have a bicycle path, not just like a little tiny section for bicycles, which was, again, very nice. So I'm just cycling through a couple of towns. I stopped off in the supermarket to buy some supplies. Local currency is the euro, so back to using the euro now, which I'll use all the way through until France, until I cross to the UK. Apart from Hungary, I'm due to go to Hungary at some stage. And that's about all I've got to say. I rolled into Big Berry Campground at about 3 in the afternoon. And as I said, they're going to put me up for 3 nights whilst I stay there, and I'm going to just explore the area. They're going to take me around and show me some things. I'll visit some local businesses, find out a little bit about Slovenia. And that's all I've got to say for this one. So, take it easy guys, and I will speak to you on the next video. Cheers for now.